This is the Earth, third planet from the Sun, your home, and mine. Our beautiful blue world is full of diverse ecosystems, populated by countless exotic creatures. But for the last 200 years, humans have been damaging these habitats, and it is not only through deforestation, but through our use of energy that powers the modern world. Beginning in 1880, the Industrial Revolution saw us utilizing the fossil fuel coal. Its use exploded in the late 1800s. The technology became increasingly advanced. The world switched from whale oil lamps to coal power and electricity. Wherever a power plant sprouted up, smoke and smokestacks were not far behind. However, they paid the black emissions from the plants no mind. They assumed it was no different from the smoke that fires produced, right? Wrong. The smoke these power plants produce contains CO2, along with a number of other harmful greenhouse gases. The problem with CO2 is that it is a heat-containing gas. It being in the atmosphere at just the right amount is the reason the Earth isn't a frozen block of ice. The amount of CO2 used to be regulated by Earth's plants who cycle it from the air and convert it to oxygen that we can breathe. The Industrial Revolution added so much greenhouse gas to the atmosphere that the plants couldn't handle the influx of CO2. It also doesn't help that we've removed 73.4 million acres of forest, and this deforestation itself contributes to 15% of greenhouse gas emissions. We're removing the buffer while adding more harmful compound. So now there's more CO2 insulating the planet, slowly changing the climate and warming the Earth. And in the modern day, this is only getting worse. Fossil fuels, like natural gas, petroleum, and coal that produce greenhouse gases account for 81% of our energy production. Now the Earth has another layer of protection, a shield of sorts, called the ozone layer. It's a region in the stratosphere that contains high concentrations of ozone molecules, O3. It protects the planet from the sun's harmful UV radiation, which cause cancer. Now there's a hole in the ozone layer due to the emissions of chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs for short. These CFCs break the triple bonds between ozone molecules. CFCs come from old air conditioners, insulations, and packing materials, and propellants from aerosol cans. The hole in the ozone layer is contributing to increasing skin cancer rates in places like Australia, where there is significant exposure to the sun. However, the air isn't the only thing being affected by our unsustainable fossil fuel usage. Water is too. The oceans are another source of CO2 absorption on Earth, and the excess CO2 is making the oceans more acidic. There is a reaction occurring between CO2 and water that produces carbonic acid in the water. This will makes the ocean more acidic. Many scientists believe that acidity interferes with the ability of certain marine animals, such as corals, to make their skeletons and shells from calcium carbonate mineral. Other marine species that may be affected include lobsters, snails, starfish, oysters, clams, and various species of phytoplankton, which are all species that occupy vital spots in the global ocean food web. The oceans absorbing this much heat is also melting the ice caps. From 2002 through 2005, Antarctica lost 152 cubic kilometers of ice, and Greenland lost between 150 and 250 kilometers of ice per year in that same time frame. This is 1 cubic kilometer. It's bigger than Governor's Island in New York City. The addition of new water to the oceans has caused the water levels to rise about 8 inches over the last 200 years. This may not sound like much, but the effect is cumulative. By 2050, the water levels will rise an extra 2 feet, and by 2100, it will have risen 6 feet over the current levels. Higher temperatures are worsening types of disasters, including storms, heat waves, floods, and droughts. A warmer climate creates an atmosphere that can collect, retain, and drop more water, changing weather patterns in such a way that wet areas become wetter and dry areas become drier. As you can see, our use of fossil fuels has had far-reaching and drastic effects on our planet. Every organism has been affected. We are the cause of the problem, and it is our job to repair them. It is not too late to make a change. We are still at the beginning of what could be a dramatic shift in Earth's history. Every little bit will help. After all, big ripples in a pond begin with a small stone. There are so many things you can do, and if you lead by example, others will follow. You can make your space more energy efficient by sealing drafts and ensuring it's adequately insulated. You can invest in energy efficient appliances to also reduce the energy you use. You can use energy efficient bulbs or drive a hybrid or electric vehicle, which yes, are more expensive, but it's a small price to pay for the greater good of our Earth. By switching to using solar panels and recommending it to others, we can slowly begin to chip away at fossil fuel usage. If larger companies focus their efforts on clean renewable energy, that will also decrease our reliance on fossil fuels. These next few years are crucial. This could be the beginning of a much darker, desolate planet, or a reset to our beautiful, clean Earth.